I'm Ben and I am a DAX snowboarder.
And how long have you been snowboarding for?
I started snowboarding with AFPST and DAX comp about 2.5 years ago. But my first time on a mountain since injury was January last year. Was the first time that I'd been on a mountain.
Okay. When was your injury?
So I was injured in 2011, September 2011. I was injured in Afghanistan, and then I've not really done much in between. And then I think it was just after COVID, I got introduced into the potential of starting snowboarding by a friend of mine that's an instructor, and kind of didn't take him up on the offer to start with. I thought he was joking. And then he said, well, do you know Chesh and Swifty? And I said, yeah, I know both of them. He's like, well, both of them two do it. I was like, oh, fair one. So then left it a little bit, didn't do much. And then I started dabbling in it. I think it was about 2022 I'd first started in testing in the indoor snow sports slope at Castleford.
What year was that, sorry?
That was 2021, 22.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what happened in that sort of 10-year gap?
So in that 10-year gap, I've been here, there and everywhere, to be honest. I've had my own businesses, I've done bits and bats, building, development, I've had a clothing company. Really random, just random stuff, yeah.
And do you mind explaining a bit about Afghanistan and the tour you were on?
Yeah, no dramas. So I was in Afghanistan 2011 with 3 Royal Engineers EOD. That was my job. I was search. I was on patrol when we were searching a tree line, and I hit an IED, which resulted in the loss of both legs below. Originally below knee, but because of the damage that was caused to both, they had to amputate through knee. So I'm above knee both sides now, and that was September 2011. And then I went through some recovery with the MOD at Headley Court. That lasted about 4-5 years maybe, learning how to walk, all other surgeries and stuff that needed to be done in that meantime. So that filled out that first 5 or 6 years, and then once I was discharged, that's when I started like messing about with businesses and hobbies and all that good stuff.
And how long were you in the army for?
I did 8 years in total in the army. Got out in 2015. So yeah, 10 years this year as a civvy, which is mega.
Is that always what you wanted to do in the army?
Yeah, so from a very, very young age, maybe 5-6 years old, it's all I'd really wanted to be, was to be a soldier. Didn't know what a soldier was back then. And then as I got older, my granddad, he was out in World War II and stuff, so he'd always have the chats, and he'd be like, just try to get a trade if you can and all that good stuff. So then as I got a bit older, I looked into the army more and more, and the engineers are where I settled, because you get a civilian trade, so that was like a safety net if anything went wrong within reason, to get civic quals and get out and crack on as a trader. So that was sort of a aspect of why I went down that route, and then an opportunity come about, and I specialised in EOD and search within the engineers, which was basically a different trade. So instead of doing the plumbing that I'd been taught, I got basically retraded into a different sort of speciality.
Yeah. Did you get a lot of support at Headley Court?
Yeah, so Headley Court was amazing at the time. We are going back a few years now. I don't really know about the new one, but the old place was really good. You know, there was a lot of us there at the same time. So within like maybe a 3 or 4 year period, majority of Afghanistan injuries were all within that time period. So there were a lot of us at Headley Court together, which made it like really good in the fact that you were still like back at your unit, because you had a lot of lads just being stupid. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of took the clinical side out of it, as it be like being a rehabilitation centre, to a bit more relaxed in that sense. But yeah, they looked after us at Headley.
Perfect. So when did you sort of meet Swifty? How did that come about?
Swifty, I met, bloody hell, that'd have been probably 2013, 2012 when I initially met Swifty. I met him at an event that I'd been dragged to. Yeah, I met him at Buckingham Palace. Yeah, so that's where we met originally. We're at a garden party. Didn't really just introduce to each other, you know, never met before. And then that was it really. Didn't have anything to do with Swifty for 10 years. Different paths, different lives, different circles, all that good stuff. And then yeah, randomly just ended up back in Swifty's circle with the invite from my pal. When he mentioned Swifty, told me about all this good stuff that he'd designed and that, so I was like, all right, no worries. And yeah, that was basically the initial sort of getting in with Dax and meeting back up with Swifty.
When I spoke to Swifty, he said that like a lot of the guys experience the trauma. He said that they sort of get on with it and just talk as lads. Is that?
Yeah, so obviously can't speak for everyone on that front, but a lot within our circle, certainly like within Dax, yeah, there's 3-4 of us military, and that's sort of the mindset that a lot of us have just got on with it. You know, like the psychological. Yeah, it's there. There's no denying that. There'd be something wrong if it wasn't there, in my eyes. But it's, for us, it's how we. What's the word? How you deal with it, I guess. You know, just get on with it. You know, do you make it that hurdle, or do you just get over it and crack on? And for us, with the physical injuries, they take priority because obviously the physical's the one that you need to get about and to do things, and it's the one that everyone sees. Yeah, so it's quite apparent within that world that like you'd look at us and be like, yeah, they're just physical. Which that's how I'll identify as well. I won't really play in the trauma side of the mental health side of things. It's not my area. I'm physically injured and just get on with the rest of it that comes.
So was that harder to sort of get over that hurdle, if you like?
Don't know. I couldn't tell you for the simple fact. Same with many of us, same attitude. You just got to get on with it. You know, there's no time to go what if and all that good stuff. It's pointless. You know, just get on with it. What's happened. Make the best of sort of the hand you've been dealt, I guess.
And is that where the snowboarding sort of come in? Like, has this helped you?
Oh, definitely. It's been epic. So when I started dabbling in snowboarding, I couldn't commit to it due to family commitment and stuff at the time. And then like maybe a year, so a couple of indoor runs, and my circumstances had changed and I could commit to snowboarding. And at the time I was in a dark pit, do you know what I mean? I put myself in a really not nice position, and literally like the boarding was just like, let's just throw myself into that and see what comes of it. So I did. I put everything into it to start with. Well, still now, you know, but the initial was sort of everything all in. And it was hard. I didn't like it to start with. I was having so many issues with the prosthetics and the setup, and I was just getting fredders with myself, like really angry. I like to be good at things. I like things to happen like this, and yeah. So it was a bit frustrating to start with, but once we got going and we got things right and got myself of carbon bindings, we started riding and shredding, and yeah, that's what it's about.
Did you try the steel ones before?
Yeah, so initially I started on the steels, and yeah, everything you've heard about the steels is correct. They were horrendous. So you're close to 10 kilos under your arm on a mountain. It's not ideal. Do you know what I mean? Especially on this setup of legs as well, because you've got such a small surface area. Every step you're going 2, 3, 4 inches into the snow. and then you need to get out, and that 10 kilos doesn't sound a lot, does it? But when you've got that 10 kilos and you're putting it in the snow every time, it's an extra 10 kilos to lug out of the snow. Game changer. Yeah, game changer in what we did with these, trialing them out in carbon fibre. It's leaps and bounds like forward. Yeah.
Do you know what weight these ones are?
I think they come in at 1.8 kilos a pair now, so that's 900 grams each. So down from close to 5 or just over 5 kilos, or just under 5 kilos maybe. They've gone down to like 900 grams, so less than a bag of sugar, so you can't really complain.
Yeah. Do you have any like goals with your snowboarding? Like where do you want to take it?
Just ride it at the moment. Just ride it out and see what comes. You know, like we've just me and Swifty have just done our instructors course with the Royal Navy. So that's another avenue to potentially go down if that's somewhere where we want to go and help with, assist with, whether that be able-bodied or other disabled riders or whatever. We could go down that route. Myself, I want to play in the park a bit. I want to get a bit more confident and get used to how much the park hurts. Like, because it's a different hurt altogether. Snowboarding hurting and park hurting are two different things. I've got used to snowboard hurting, and now it's going in the park and landing some horrible potential accidents.
Yeah, so, I get it.
Yeah.
Did you do any riding with AFPST?
Yeah, so I started. So basically, Daxcom, Swifty and Dale's sort of thing they set up over the past 20 years. AFPST, I started with AFPST. I'm still part of AFPST as a veteran. We've got a really good community there. So me and Swifty and Lee are all AFPST riders. It's just Daxcom's a different sort of, it's a CIC we've set up to help other worldwide double above knee riders to get them involved with the sport.
And I asked everyone else this as well, but what do you think like the biggest misconception is with being a DAC?
It's a tough question because you can go both ways with that. So you can use the negative side of it of, I don't know, there's so many different like ways you could look at that. Personally, I don't see it any different. Yeah, we ain't got the knees, we ain't got the ankles, so the riding style and everything's slightly different to what you or another snowboarder would know or ride, but it's not different, if that makes sense. So it's the same concept, just slightly tweaked and a few body parts missing. So.
I think Ellie said like even people don't realise the wait time for getting prosthetics and stuff. Yeah,
so that's a big factor. So like depending on where you are in the world, potentially when we get to that point, but here in the UK, depending on which limb centre you're with, you could be, I don't know, you could go private and you could wait 2 weeks, 4 weeks. You could go NHS and get a set of prosthetics made. Could be the same 2 weeks, 4 weeks. It could be 6 months. So that's the biggest downfall. And with snowboarding being a winter sport, in terms of actually getting on the real mountains, you've only got that window to get onto the mountains. So yeah, if you've got any prosthetic issues over the snow season, yeah, you just want to be prepared for it, or be prepared not to be getting on powder that season. Simple as that.
And do you get funding for the binding? Yeah, so the funding,
so the bindings, these bindings were granted through Blesma, I believe these ones were. So Blesma and Help for Heroes have been helping with a grant, a sports grant, to help individuals and small charities, CICs and stuff, with sporting equipment, mobility equipment, and I believe this is what funded these. So yeah, that's big thanks to Blesma and Help for Heroes, I guess, on that front. But yeah, they are the snaps that we wear. They're they're prosthetics, so they're funded by the MOD/NHS for us. The bindings are self-funded, so we have to obviously find the funding for them, whether that's fundraising or grants to get the bindings.